Hello there everybody, this is Alex from Hardcoin Guides, bringing my guide for God Hand on Hard difficulty. Today we're doing stage 2-3 entitled Giant Enemy Crane. This is going to be a sort of, I guess you could say, half boss fight-ish level, but really actually not that bad, and honestly probably one of my favorite levels, funny enough. So before we get to the actual fight itself, we have two Cobra enemies. Right there, I was using the dashing and mashing square while doing it, because I feel like if you mash square, it will actually multi-hit. So the first thing I can tell you about these guys is knock down one pillar. Just don't knock down both pillars. You don't want to get them both activated. Even though like one of them will throw knives at you, it's fine. If that becomes a problem, just go behind those pillars in the back and just hide behind that. Especially for this guy on the right side, because, you know, he can't really realistically aim between them. And here I am just kind of flubbing pretty much just everything up and having a hard time dealing with them. By the way, I don't know what their actual names are. I just call them Cobras because, you know, Cobra Twist. So I just assume, well, I don't think that's actually what they're called, but that's just what makes sense to me. I don't know, it makes sense in my head. So this is technically I guess you could say a mini-boss, if anything. And like I said, not really a hard one either. There goes the elite, but that's for later. You don't have to deal with that right now. But the first thing you need to deal with, though, unfortunately, well, you don't have to, but it's wise to take care of these guys first. Now, there is a sort of better way to take care of these guys besides what I'm doing. And as you can tell, what I'm doing is the basic formula of how do I normally handle two enemies, which is essentially doing a punch, guard break, punch, guard break, side dash, punch, guard break, side dash. So that way I can try to get them like one behind the other and then hopefully get that guard break. And then of course this guy, the bomb enemy, will spawn in, but he's nothing really to deal with. Save the barrel if you want, you know, use it if you want, whatever. I don't have anything to really say whether or not it's useful for anything or not, but that's just me. Now, the good news is about the crane boss itself is that once enemies start to spawn in, well actually that's what the barrel is useful for. It completely decimated that, I forgot about that. I don't know how I missed that, but okay. The lampposts also, the lampposts that you can grab around the map, they also do a ton of damage to the crane. However, I would say don't destroy at least destroy one arm, but don't destroy all the arms just yet. And as you can see from this, there is a certain threshold where, okay, never mind. I was gonna say there's like a certain spot where it can't attack me yet, but that's actually completely wrong, and I take back what I was about to say. But the little trick I'm trying to do here, though, is I'm trying to get these guys to be underneath the crane. Because the crane will, you know, judging from the shadow, it will basically follow where you pretty much were just last at. Which is going to come in handy in a later level, much later, actually, that we'll be playing with. And I'll be using that to my advantage again. Where I'll be pretty much using the crane to smash enemies. I spent like 5 minutes trying to explain what I was trying to say there, which was basically just use the crane arm to kill enemy instead. So, and again, you know, lamppost does actually do a lot of damage, and as you saw earlier, yeah, the barrel did a lot of damage. This has been a really bad episode, hasn't it? Because I'm just all over the place. I don't know how to explain anything anymore, even though I just got done doing the last episode, and here I am flubbing up this one too. It's insane. Luckily, the crane itself doesn't have a lot of health, and thankfully there's not a lot of mobs that can spawn. It's like a couple of waves. I want to say at least maybe probably in total 3, but then again they might spawn. I've never really tested it yet, but they might spawn via well, they spawn one after the other. If you kill one group, another group spawns, yes, but I wonder if they spawn because of the crane being alive, because I think once you kill the crane completely, I think they just stop spawning. So I think the idea is you just want to try to do that first, because again, keep in mind this is an arcade game. Like, this is not as scary as it is at first. This game really, truly does let you just kind of just get away with so much stuff that on your first playthrough you don't really realize how much stuff you can do. But then when you start like either paying attention to the game, or that sounds completely mean when I say that. I don't mean to be mean. I'm just trying to say, like, it's one of those things where I noticed, like, okay, talk from my own experience. I didn't know a lot about this game when I first played it. And then I learned from either, you know, watching YouTubers, of course, talk about it. I learned, you know, some techniques from them and just going back to the game over and over and over again. And then I eventually just came across like how these levels kind of function. Like everything functions in a different way. Like every level is built different. There's no level that's really relatively the same. So there's always at least some little intricacy that you can kind of learn from each level. And that's how I think you should arguably treat God Hand, is you want to treat it level by level, but at the same time, you do want to make sure that you're keeping your item management sustained. Like you definitely want to keep orbs, you definitely want to keep God Hand for those various moments that you're probably going to need them for. So it's kind of like Resident Evil 4, because like Resident Evil 4 does the same thing, Vanquish does the same thing. Makes you kind of wonder who made those games, huh? And what type of pattern, Shinji Mikami's got going on. But he definitely seems to like the idea of each area is a level, and I love that. Like everything is like a different type of level, and it's got a very arcadey feel to it. And I absolutely, I mean, we already know this, but I absolutely love his game design. And this is pretty much his golden child, to be fair. But the reason why I'm jumping back down is because I have lampposts that are still around that I can grab, and I want to use it on the elite Cobra guy, because I don't want to have to deal with him fully, and, it's God Hand, so screw him. That's kind of how that basically unfolds. Elite Cobra type enemies, these slasher enemies, they seem like they would be a lot more annoying. The one thing I can tell you is they have that jump attack, which can, of course, be dodged back from. They'll probably 9 times out of 10 probably just do that more often. These guys are not that bad by themselves. Granted, when they're in groups, which we're going to be dealing with later, is absolutely annoying. I think that dash attack can be dodged up, although I wouldn't recommend doing that. I'd say just back dodge, just in case. Keeping pressure on them, like just hitting them all the time and trying to get them into guarding your attacks is very fruitful, because they're, weirdly enough, I feel like they're way more weak against just getting pressured, because some enemies just, retaliate more often than these guys just kind of just eat it. No, not fully, but I don't know. Anyway, that's for this. See you guys next time.